Copy Haruto tells Haruto about the proficiency test they need to take before the entrance ceremony. However, Copy Haruto has other plans. He's been cooped up in his room for days. Real Haruto figures this might be his ticket out of here. If he tanks this test on purpose, maybe they'll kick him out of the academy. Haruto's confident he can mess things up real quick. So, he sneaks into the exam hall, hoping to avoid talking to anyone. But, surprise! The teacher spots him and says they've been expecting him. Haruto's led inside, and he can't believe his eyes. This classroom is incredible, and he's about to start studying here come spring. But there's a catch. Haruto feels like he's suffocating in this extroverted environment. They hand him the exam paper, and he's convinced he'll get every answer wrong. He doesn't have a clue about any of it. So, he scribbles no clue on everything. When it comes to the barrier magic part, he figures he should at least get a few right to throw them off his trail. He writes down what he knows about barriers. Then, he tackles the ancient magic section. Haruto's read books on this stuff, especially one by an author with a super long name. He scribbles down his answers, and by the end, he thinks he might have written too much. The teacher says it's time for the mono-level test, but Haruto insists he's a 2 and they don't need to bother. Nope, the school policy says they have to, so off they go to see a professor. When they get there, Haruto can't help but notice the professor is tiny. She says she likes his dark hair and face and introduces herself as Tyrion Illusional. She studies magic here and warns Haruto that if he gets on her bad side, she'll send him packing. Haruto starts getting excited about all this. He can't believe it. Tyrion says she doesn't hate eccentric guys like him, they make her heart race. Tyrion checks Haruto's answers. She's got a surprising look on her face and says they should continue. Haruto uses a magic crystal to measure his mono level, but it breaks. Haruto's sure the teacher will be mad at him for busting this precious crystal, but Tyrion calls it spectacular. She says this proves he's got way more mana than the crystal can handle, even though his level is just a 2. According to her, there are exceptions to everything, and they still don't understand these crystals. But that's not all. Haruto skipped the Royal Magician level questions, but his answers on the barrier and ancient magic sections blow them away. Tyrion says his ancient magic answers are similar to her own. That's when it hits him, she's that author with the super long name whose books he loved reading. Tyrion wants to mentor Haruto. She asks Polkos not to spill the beans to the other professors. Haruto refuses to join her research, but she keeps trying to convince him, saying it'll be great for him. In the end, Haruto walks out. Haruto tells his copy about the proficiency test, and the copy is surprised that Haruto made a good impression instead of getting kicked out. They state that they might have failed this time, but they still haven't given up. Charlotte gives the copy Haruto a gun and wishes him luck. The copy Haruto doesn't want to go to the entrance ceremony, but he has no choice as he is a copy and has to do whatever the original tells him to. He mentions that he has no magic since he is just a copy, and that's why Haruto casted a defensive barrier on him and gives him a gun for self-defense. After the entrance ceremony is over, Haruto thinks that he is done with all events for the day. On his way back to the dorm room, he comes across a group of extroverts. He tries to pass by them without being noticed, but the blonde-haired guy tells the white-haired girl to stop. Haruto tries to slip by in the confusion, but he notices the girl and wonders what she is doing here. The blonde-haired guy tells them both that they shouldn't pass by him without a salute. The girl states that she doesn't recall anything of this sort in the Academy's handbook. The guy then mentions that he is their Vice President Schneider and it's common to bow down to him. The girl mentions that she didn't know this as she just entered the Academy today, and Schneider tells Haruto to explain this to her. Haruto doesn't know either, and tries to make an excuse to get out of there. He states that his stomach is hurting and he is about to burst. Schneider mentions that Haruto shouldn't mock him with his lies, and uses a spell. Haruto runs from it, but the spell hits him. Schneider tells Haruto to repent for his actions, and Haruto gets up and he is fine. Schneider can't believe that his attack didn't do any damage to Haruto. He pretends to be hurt, but his acting doesn't work. The girl assesses the situation and apologizes for getting Haruto involved in this. She mentions that her other option was to quell Schneider's anger, but she doesn't even know why he is angry at her. Haruto thinks that this girl is even worse at reading the room than him. Schneider tries to attack Haruto again, and Haruto attacks Schneider with his gun and runs away. Later, the copy Haruto tells Haruto that he was also chased around by the little professor while he was heading to his room. Haruto tells the copy Haruto to get some rest, and thinks that something is wrong with the school for having a magic battle with no warning. A girl gives Haruto a duel letter from Schneider, and Haruto tries to refuse, but the girl mentions that this will bring shame to Margrave's name. She states that if Haruto loses on purpose, then his fate would be even worse, and she leaves. So Haruto heads back to his room. He's feeling like this whole thing is a real pain in the rear end. He thinks the vice president must be crazily skilled because his copy survived, probably cause the vice president took it easy on him. Now, Haruto is stuck thinking up a plan to lose big time, but he is not too keen on getting hurt in the process. Haruto spots that white-haired girl chatting with the other girl from before. They both hop into a carriage, and Haruto is wondering if they are off to Schneider's place. At Marquis Haven's estate, in the middle of the royal capital, the girl asks Schneider to call off the duel, saying it's all her fault. She adds that Schneider is in pretty bad shape to fight anyway, being injured. Schneider is not making things easy. He's telling the girl who's healing him to hurry up, and Haruto's thinking the Schneider guy is a real jerk. Then Schneider says the girl should apologize before asking for a favor. The girl says sorry for being a bit clueless. But Schneider says it is not fun unless she's feeling some shame and tells her to dance naked for him. The girl's like, what? Seriously? But Schneider's like, yup, it's a small price for my forgiveness. Surprisingly, the girl agrees. Haruto's scratching his head, wondering if she's serious. So, she starts undressing, stopping at her undies, and Schneider's like, need a hand? The girl says, no, I'm good, and starts unbuttoning her shirt. But then, just before the girl goes any further, Haruto pulls a sneaky move. He plunges the room into darkness and pops up as the Black Knight. He hands her clothes back and gives her a little lecture about having some self-respect. He says he'll fly her back to the dorms, so she better get dressed and head out. Now, Schneider's left wondering who turned off the lights, and the Black Knight, who goes by Shiva now. He says this place is a special dimension, and no one is coming to save Schneider. He slaps a vice block right on Schneider's shoulder. He tells Schneider he has committed 3 big sins. First off, he points out Schneider picked a fight with a new kid. Schneider says upperclassmen are allowed to give guidance to the newbies, but Shiva's not buying it. He says the second sin is trying to publicly punish a younger student under the guise of a duel. Schneider argues that duels are all about protecting a noble's honor. He says the third sin is sexually harassing a girl. Ouch. For all these reasons, Schneider's gotta wear that vice block for a while. If he even tries to use magic or take it off, it's gonna clamp down even tighter. Shiva tells him to call off the duel cause he ain't gonna fight like this. He says he'll take it off once Schneider's done some serious soul searching, and then he takes off. Schneider heads back to his room, and the other students tell the healer to patch him up quick. But the healing magic hurts Schneider instead. The students are secretly having a good laugh at this, and Schneider is fuming, saying Shiva is not going to get away with this. What is he going to do to Haruto? Did the white-haired girl recognize Haruto this time? Subscribe to the channel not to miss any upcoming videos. Thumbs up if you liked the video, and check our other recaps. See you in the next one.